lost Frank.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's in right about.
All
I
right.
didn't hear him anymore.
Our broadcast is live. All right, welcome to the Sports Hounds Monday night. Here with special guest Jim Jackson. As always, the Sports Hounds are brought to you by both Ambuck Services and Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy. He's our doc, make him yours too. 3 convenient locations. Visit Specialized Physical Therapy for all information on their services. As I mentioned, Ambuck Services, a new sponsor. Once the coronavirus passes, all your yard and landscaping needs, visit ambuckservices.com for their services. We're on Facebook. We're on Periscope. We're on Instagram. We're now on Twitch. You can download us. You can stream us on SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify. The takeover is real. A2D Radio is everywhere. And tonight we have our close ally, I don't know, Jim, what's it been, 30 years in the Philadelphia broadcasting?
Getting there. Let's say
25,
close to
almost, right? I heard you on
27.
Preston. Well, I always say that because I heard you on Preston and Steve the other day when I was coming out of work, and I guess it was 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning. You were doing a spot with them. I mean, you came here in 1993, and it's now 2020. Does it ever dawn on you, like, how long you've been a fixture in such a sports craze, top 5 market here in Philadelphia?
Don't really understand it until you have time like this, where you have time to think about everything. And I'm cleaning out my office actually during our pause here in the NHL season and our delay in the baseball season, and I'm digging up things from way back, as far back as 1993, and that's when it kind of hits you. It's like, wow, I've been here a long time. These players are all gone. In fact, they're almost 50 as well right now, and by age, and I look different in those earlier ones. So, yeah, you realize it at that point that a lot of time's gone by. But when you're in the middle of it, as I am pretty much all the time, with hockey to baseball to hockey to baseball, it kind of, one year just rolls into the next, and you really forget. You lose track of the passage of time. So this stoppage has kind of brought that reality to me for sure. I've been here a while.
I mean, obviously this pandemic is just truly awful, and it makes you realize that sports are kind of like a small thing. But as you look past your time, can you outline like a couple of moments or memories that kind of resonate with you as being the fixture that you are in the Philadelphia sports market?
Well, I mean, there's so many. I get asked this about the particular sports that I broadcast, which moment, right? One moment. They want one moment from each sport. It's tough. In hockey, for a long time, it was the Keith Primo goal in the 5 overtime game in Pittsburgh in 2000. But then in 2010, the shootout, Brian Boucher makes the save, and the Flyers go to the playoffs, and the Rangers go home. And then
you have to remind me of that, don't you?
Yeah, they come back against Boston later on that year. Those really stand out. And the Jeremy Roenick goal in 2000. But there's just so many. It's tough to pick out one. I guess I'd, from a Flyers standpoint, still go back to the Primo goal because it was NHL history and longest game in modern history of the NHL, basically since forward passing was allowed. So to be part of NHL history, I guess I'll still go with that. From a Phillies standpoint, it really it's moments all around one event. Obviously, winning the championship in 2008, being able to sit next to Harry Kalas as he made his call. I didn't actually make the call, obviously, but being able to sit next to an icon like Harry, see the tears in his eyes as he nails the call, and the Phillies win the World Series. I mean, that one moment, and then 2 days later the parade, which was just incredible. I am not much of a parade person, I would say, but I'd spoken with Howie Rose, who had been in a parade, and he said, you might not be a parade person, but you will be after this. And he was right. It was an unbelievable day. Just the amount of love being thrown the Phillies way, Harry's way too. We were on the float with Harry. So that would be baseball and hockey. There's more moments, but if I had to pin it down to one, I'd say the Primo goal.
Wow. So I didn't realize you're on a float in the 08 parade with the.
Yeah, with all the announcers. Announcers were with the Fanatic and the Ball Girls. They put us on we were right behind Pat Burrell and his dog. So
you're second.
Yeah.
That was second in the procession, if my serves me correct.
It was a lot of fun. It was to watch as you go around the corner onto Broad, to see the people, just the sea of people down each alleyway, hanging on trees up in the office buildings and the noise. And it was just amazing. I can remember that like it was yesterday, and obviously it was 12 years ago. But it was really something that I will cherish the rest of my life.
Because you really had some characters on that '08 team. I mean, obviously, Chase Utley with the expletive and Jason Worth.
In Chase's defense, we were given lots of liquids on the way on that parade.
It looked like it. I mean, you had
I remember
Jason Worth there with the
yeah.
Hulk hands, with the double fist in the
Well,
ear.
we got off the float, and Tom McCarthy and I are walking into the ballpark, and Leslie Goodell comes up and says, "Hey, can I grab you too?" And we're like, we look at each other like, "Are we in any shape to do an interview?" I don't know. So I mean, yeah. In Chase's defense, he was he was well on the way there when we.
I mean, he didn't offend anyone in the Philadelphia.
No,
he didn't put with Joe Namath.
Some media members got on him a little bit, but
yeah.
It was just such an authentic moment. I mean, that must have been.
Yeah, he just added to his legend with that, no question.
So, I mean, you're kind of like our guy on the inside here. Are you hearing anything as opposed to like when sports can be a thing again? I mean, obviously safety first, but I know Donald Trump just extended the self quarantine or whatever you want to call it till April 30th. Obviously, that doesn't bode well for a mid-May start for baseball, because these guys are obviously going to need a few weeks to get stressed out.
Yeah, hockey is going to be rough to get hockey back too.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, if I'm your insider right now, the only thing I'm in the inside of right now is my house, so I can tell you all about my wife, my daughter, my son, what we do. But I am so isolated right now because I'm following the directions. I haven't even left the house, I don't think, in about 4 days. I've left to go outside and just take a walk, but I have not left to go anywhere, any destination in 4 or 5 days, 6 days. I just try to keep up via what I can, what you hear in the news. What I'm hearing from the NHL is that with the postponement, not the cancellation, but the postponement of the Olympics, their window opened up because with the Olympics, they had no place to put the games on television. NBC, of course, carries the Olympics and carries the NHL. So they were really squeezed into getting everything done in July with the Olympics on the board. But with the Olympics now postponed, that opens up August. And Bill Daley suddenly the other day started saying, "Yeah, we've got a little more time than we thought to try to get this in." So they may indeed, if as the president is hoping things start to get back to the people being out and about in June, the NHL may try to put together some kind of tournament in June, be the second half of June. There have to be a training camp, and then July, and even bleeding into August, perhaps a little bit, and then just not have much of an off season leading into the next year, which would put the playoff teams, the ones that go deep, into a serious disadvantage for the next season.
Jim,
they also have to get the draft. They have to get free agency. They have to get all that done during the offseason. So it's going to be a major undertaking. But again, we are in the world of the unknown right now with this thing. It is deadly. Clearly, it's scary. The numbers are looking scarier by the day. And what we're hearing out of the scientists and the people who know these things is really scary. So I do think that we just have to wait and hear from them before we even think about what's going to happen. Baseball, most people were thinking they'd have no problem getting a season in, but with some of the dates we're hearing now, even baseball will have a seriously shortened season if we're not talking getting them on the field and playing until mid to late June or early July. So we're up against it time-wise, but as you said earlier, sports right now are so small on the whole lexicon of things. We just have to wait and hopefully get our turn to go. And when we go, we'll go full bore.
Jim, based on reality with hockey, if they were able to start the season beginning in June, how many playoff teams do you think they would have?
Well, I've heard a lot of different philosophies. Bill Daley surprised me the other day when he said they're still talking about getting the rest of the regular season in. And I'm like, I just don't see it from a timing standpoint, how you can get most teams had around 10 to 12 games left in their schedules. That's going to take at least 2 to 3 weeks, right? Really more than that, probably, for all the teams to get that in. You have to have a 2-week training camp is what they're kind of gunning for. So again, let's say President Trump's right and it's June 1st that we start getting people and teams into camps. So then I think you're talking about mid-June, June 15th, before you start closing out the regular season. That would take you certainly through June, probably into early July. And if you run a full 4-round, 7-game series playoff from there, you are going through July and August, almost into September. So I think you've got to cut back somewhere, and I got to think the regular season will be the first thing that's got to be cut back. But when I say that, remember, these teams, that's a lot of money you're saying goodbye to if you don't get those games in. So maybe they're pushed by that to get those games in, and they shorten the tournament. I'd have no problem with turning the first round into best of 5, and maybe the first round be the first round of 8. In other words, just 3 rounds of playoffs. 1 round at 5 games, and then the other 2, the conference finals and the finals, 7-game series. You can probably get that in roughly a month and a half. And if you can get a playoff tournament in a month and a half, you can get started in the middle of June and be done by the end of July or early August, and there you go. But much more than that, I think we're starting to run out of time for.
Now, I mean, Brad's Rangers were kind of surging there. Maybe they were going to make a wild card. Maybe they weren't. But the Flyers seemed like they really had,
they were on a roll.
Really worked out. They were playing great. The coach and the goalie was playing great. I feel cheated as a fan. Like, are they going to be able, if this thing does ever spread, the Flyers going to be able to, translate the momentum they had?
It's going to be a
2-month break into. It seems like it's going to be a whole new season, Jim.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it'll be just almost like starting over. Now, there's good to that. Phil Myers will be back. I'm assuming that Nate Thompson will be back. It looks like James Van Riemsdyk has a chance of being back if this drags on much longer. Nolan Patrick's a situation that's out there that maybe he plays. So
that's the big one to me, Jim, is Patrick.
Yeah, you get healthier, but so does everybody else. So, I mean, it's not like the Flyers are the only team getting healthy. It will be interesting. I don't think there'll be any momentum left over. Our lives have all changed so much. It will be like starting over. And who's to know whether there'll be fans? I mean, there's just so many variables out there. But this was a good team. I mean, they had a really good D-core with a solid goaltender who was just scratching the surface and much deeper up front than they've been in quite some time. So, and with a really good coach too. I mean, that's perhaps the biggest part of the whole equation is Elaine Vigneault really knows what he's doing. So you've got the elements for a team to go on a run in the playoffs. So whether or not you have the momentum, you still have a chance, I think, to do some damage.
How good is Carter Hart, Jim? I mean, we just talked about it, your longevity with, I mean, obviously the Flyers have had extreme difficulty in kind of finding that franchise goal, and it's probably cost them a few cups along the way. How good do you think this kid can be, Carter, talking about Carter Hart in net?
Well, I mean, I think the world of him, and mainly because I see how he approaches the game. I mean, he might be a kid, and he certainly looks even younger than he is facially, but his approach is mature. He works his tail off. He's very organized. He's just really a focused individual. The road woes maybe make you pause to say, is he ready for this quite yet at this young age? I think it was important for them to get him some important games down the stretch on the road. That's gone. I mean, I don't think we're going to have the chance to see that. He's going to have to try to figure it out in the playoffs, probably on the road, if we do get a playoff tournament started. But for the future, it's all arrows upward. I mean, if he stays healthy, he's going to be a really good goalie. He's got all the tools, the athleticism. He's very sound fundamentally, and he's just a spectacular person. I mean, he's just as good a goalie as he is, guys. He's just off the charts in terms of his qualities as being a person and how to approach the game, how to approach his teammates, how to approach the media, how to approach charity, being involved in the community. He's got it all. So I think he's the guy you want to build around for sure moving forward. But he is still very young. So if you're asking me if he's ready right now to win a cup, I don't know. He's gonna go through some growing pains in the playoffs as he has in the regular season. But I certainly think as we look forward, this is a guy you can probably latch on to, because to me, I think he has everything going for him.
Jim, as far as the trades and some of the things that have gone on, business-wise, How do you think the NHL is going to handle all this? I mean, teams that went out and made trades and got guys who were going to be free agents who were playing out the string to before free agency. You had to give up premium draft picks to get some of these guys. What are they going to do about that if they don't get to play? I mean, that's really unfair for the teams who gave up first round picks or second round picks, for some of these rentals who aren't going to play if they don't have a season.
It isn't fair. I agree with you. I think, though, we're in a time where a lot of things aren't seeming too fair right now in a much bigger perspective. I'm not quite sure they can do much else. The trades were made. The players did play for the team that they were traded to, the exception of a guy like, I think, Sammy Vatanen. I don't think he even ever got into a game, did he, after being traded? But most of these players did play for these teams. It's not going to be fair if they don't close out the regular season for those teams that were on the outside looking in, some of them with games in hand. There's nothing fair about that either, but they just might not have enough racetrack to do anything about that. And I don't think you can extend that. I know baseball certainly has already talked about this. That JT Realmuto will be a free agent after this season, whether or not baseball's played. So I think you almost have to move forward as though this season did end and it came to its completion. However that happens, maybe it already has, unfortunately. You can't go back and reverse things. It would just not make any sense. So it's not fair. I agree with you. It's not fair, but I don't think there's any fair way of changing it either.
Last two, going to switch focus here from baseball. Obviously, you do the Phillies in the spring. Opening day was supposed to be a few days ago. Well, what do you see when you look at this baseball team? Because as a fan of the Phillies, I was extremely excited. You have Joe Girardi, who's an upgrade. Didi Gregorius, who's from Brad's Yankees, who I just absolutely love. I think Rhys Hoskins was primed to have a big year. Hopefully, still have a big year. But what do you see, and what do you tell the fans about what the Phillies can look like when things kind of get rolling here with baseball?
Well, I do compare the Phillies to the Flyers in a lot of ways in terms of the changes the Flyers made last season. New head coach with a very impressive resume. Obviously, Girardi has one thing over Lane Vigneault. He has won it all. Lane Vigneault has gone to the finals twice, hasn't won it. But they both are guys who've been around as managers or coaches a long time and have great track records. So I think there's similarities there. The Flyers made upgrades, getting Kevin Hayes, Matt Niskanen, Justin Braun, but most people weren't considering those upgrades as the highlight. They weren't Artemi Panarin, right? They weren't the big moves, but they were solid moves to really help make this team. I think Gregorius and Wheeler, while not headline huge moves throughout, rocking the baseball world, I still think they were additions to this team that will really help. So I do see some similarities between the two teams. I think this team could surprise a lot of people. I'm not seeing a lot of love given to the Phillies from the national media in terms of the preseason predictions and all that.
Not at all.
But I didn't see much of that for the Flyers either. So I do think that they've made subtle changes within the lineup, and they made a huge change in terms of the leadership with the new manager, new head coach in the Flyers case. And I could see a very similar scenario playing out for the Phillies. They are going to need Rhys Hoskins to bounce back. No question about that. And they're going to need to iron out the pitching, both the starters and the bullpen. They have to have somebody emerge. I mean, you got Nola. You hope Wheeler's a real nice addition. And then it's question marks. Arrieta with his health and his deteriorating numbers here of late. And then, of course, the old conundrum of Pivetta, Eflin, and Velasquez. I kind of hesitate to put Eflin in the group anymore with those two. I think he's emerged a little bit out of that group. I think he's going to be a solid mid-rotation guy. But they're still, they got to finish out the 4 and 5 spots in the rotation. And then the bullpen, especially with what happened late there, right before the stoppage with Sir Anthony. And the bullpen's going to have some question marks for sure. But the Flyers had question marks too coming in. I do think this team could surprise a lot of people, the Phillies.
Last thing about baseball, in terms of scheduling, the one thing that I'm absolutely giddy over that they were, who knows if it's rumors, you see it on the internet, but how do you feel about the MLB starting with an all-star game?
It would be neat. It would be similar to one of the strikes, right? Was it 81 where they did that? I can't remember.
That's Brad. That's Brad's department there. I'm an 89 baby.
Yeah. I
think it was a split season.
But with the startup, I believe, was the All-Star game.
It was.
I remember it was in Cleveland, wasn't it? I don't know. My memories. I know I'm old, but that might be why my memory's going. But that was 81. That's even before I was here, guys, by 12 years. That's how long ago that was. But I was still in high school. But it would be cool. It would be quite the extravaganza. The All-Star game has lost a lot of luster, certainly in recent years, although I still think it's the best All-Star game of the major sports. But
couldn't agree more.
That would give it a lot of push, a lot of play for sure. I think I'm looking forward to the fact of a shorter season too. Part of the allure of baseball is the length of the season, I know, but it's also a grind. It'd be interesting to see a sprint as opposed to the marathon for a change. I'm not talking about anything in the future, but a 90 or 100 game season might be pretty interesting to watch these teams and how it changes how you approach the season and how the teams change in terms of what they do with their personnel. So that would be one thing we look forward to. I hope we can at least get 100 games out of the baseball season, because again, with what we're hearing, even 100 games might be a bit of a challenge. But because again, we talk about when we're going to get going again. I think they're talking about normal life. We have to get players.
No, you're totally right.
Pitchers are going to take a while, right? Pitchers are going to take a while to ramp up. I don't know when we get baseball started, so maybe even 100 games is a little optimistic, but I think it would be pretty cool, and hopefully we get that many games.
All right, Jim. Thanks so much for your time as always, and go enjoy your family and stay safe, my friend.
Same to you guys. Be smart and be healthy.
Thanks as always.
Right. Thanks a lot. All right, there you have it. Jim Jackson does the radio broadcast for your Philadelphia Phillies, and obviously you can see him every night, almost every night, doing Flyers games.
He was on a couple of times in some of those NHL Classic games too, by the way.
Oh, he's been in the city since '93. I mean,
yep, there were a couple of games with him on. I've been paying attention to that.
And we've all. I mean, you hate the repeat questions, but the people who are new to the A2D radio and new to the Sports Hounds and the guests we get on, it's nice to hear him repeat and as his favorite moments and how they age throughout the years. I mean, I remember watching the game. It was like 05-ish maybe it was either game 6 or game 7 against the Leafs. I mean, the Flyers and Leafs, they went at it in this series. They were pretty evenly matched. And I remember Sammy Kapanen got completely laid out, and he was out cold, stumbling to the bench, and then Roenick skated down and wristed one in for the series clinching game. I'm pretty sure it was game 6 in their interview. Interview. I'm reading Tommy's comment. I'm getting in their building. And I just remember the call from Jim Jackson. He was just absolutely giddy, absolutely ecstatic. It was just pure.
He makes he makes the games exciting. And I've always said it about announcers. The sign of a great announcer is an announcer who really keeps you interested in the game, because it
was 04 the series. Thanks, Zeke. 04 the series was. But yeah, I mean, he's a great broadcaster, a great guy. We certainly thank him for his time during these. Boy, how about him being on the parade float?
Yeah, that must have been great.
Knuckleheads on the 08 team.
Can you imagine?
Jason Worth was hammered with his Hulk hands. My favorite 08 Philly, Jason Worth. He had his. He had red Hulk hands. They made red Hulk hands for the Phillies that you could put beers into and double fist. And Jason Worth, he was probably going to town. I mean, Burrow was a notorious partier. Obviously, Utley said what he said. It was great. It was a great interview. We enjoy having Jim Jackson on, and hopefully we can get Phil Martelli on soon as well. Talk about some.
Yeah, really disappointing that about the NCAA's getting canceled, because I think Michigan would have been in there and would have been nice to talk to.
Yeah, they would have been a team. It probably would have been about 5 seed.
Yeah, I think we definitely would have been able to get him on.
The thing with Martelli is like the only thing he's not going to talk about championships or banners or at large bids. He's going to talk about the seniors getting robbed of their chance to contend for his championship. That's
a shame, really is.
And that game was on. I mean, I know we have favorite games on, but that game was on the other day when they lost in the Elite Eight to Oklahoma State at the buzzer. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I remember that game.
It was 04. They had Jameer Nelson. They had Delonte West. It was just a great game.
They had a really good team back then.
Yeah, they had 2 first-round picks, and they fell short of the Final Four, but, I mean, it was still a great game. And
when you think about it, that game, if you remember how Oklahoma State had such a huge size advantage, and it seemed like they were able to, St. Joe's that is, was able to neutralize that size advantage. They really didn't get hammered on the boards at all that game. I mean, they more than held their own, and they really could have won the game.
Yeah, I mean, they had a couple scrap, but, I mean, that's why it's so fun. Like, you get a team like Dayton who has a team like this every 25 years.
Oh, I know. Or were they 29?
Could they have beaten Kentucky in a a regional final?
Listen. Did you watch the Georgetown Villanova game a couple of days
ago? I watched.
Georgetown. I'm sorry, Villanova proved one thing. You know what? If you shoot like very, very well in college basketball,
they missed like 6 shots the whole game. It was ridiculous.
They shot 75%, but who's to say somebody can't do that?
Yeah, no, you're totally right, and that's what the one and done March Madness kind of gives you. Anyway, we'll digress. I'll go down my college basketball rabbit hole for hours and hours. To reset the show, this is the Sports Hounds. It is Monday night. A2D Radio, A2D Live, Facebook, Periscope, Instagram. Stream us, Podcast Junkies, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud. Trying to think of them on my sheet in front of me because we're hashtag no notes. Tom always yells at me when I throw stats in. like it's some type of nerd to be prepared for a broadcast. But we're everywhere. Takeover is real. We'll be with you till 9 o'clock-ish. Let's get to our poll question of the day, brought to you by Ambuck Services. All your yard landscaping needs, visit ambuckservices.com. Maybe get the yard in order while you can't really do much. I'm not sure if they're operational, but you can visit their website, ambuckservices.com. Figure out about all their services there. Poll question. We talked big picture NFL last week, and I didn't think we gave the Philadelphia fans, their chance to sound off and get our kind of opinions on what they're doing. So our poll question of the night: do you trust Howie Roseman to draft properly? Brad, I'll kick it to you. You're an outside eye.
He's always done a good job with the drafts. I mean, I don't know why.
He's done a good job with the drafts? You think he's done a good job with the drafts?
Well, he did. He drafted you guys a championship team. I mean, listen, the last couple of years it's been up and down, but look, the first 3 rounds you have to hit. 4 through 7 is always a crapshoot.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And really, I think at this point, I think the team did get old. I don't think he's drafted extremely well lately. He definitely has to hit home this time. They need to get a little younger defensively. They need to get a little bit more athletic. They certainly.
Well, I mean, you got to get Carson weapons.
Yeah, they certainly need to draft another running back besides for the one they have, who's pretty good. The kid they drafted last year.
Yeah, Miles Sanders from Penn State. Miles Sanders.
Sanders is a good running back.
Yeah,
but they need a change of pace running back too. They need that. They need
Scott. I mean,
they need a big time receiver. They need a guy who can stretch the field.
So I'm struggling to agree with this poll. I really am. Like, if I'm the owner of an NFL football team and I'm interviewing candidates for my player personnel department, Howie Roseman's nowhere near my player personnel department. Now, I actually like what he's done this offseason. He's gotten younger. I love the Eagles secondary. I think it's going to be one of the best units, not only in the NFC East, but big picture NFL. I really think.
Well, basically, you basically traded Mills for Slay.
I mean, yeah, and then
you can't argue that. That's a huge.
I like the kid from LA, Roby Coleman. The guy who screwed the Saints. He decked Kamara and they didn't.
Yeah.
We have that guy. He very highly rated on these.
I mean,
sites. Play the nickel corner.
it's going to be a lot with coaching too. The coaches have to get these guys up to speed, and they have to play together defensively. I mean,
right. And the Eagles have pretty much a whole new coaching staff. I mean,
and they have a lot of new players in their secondary. They are younger. They're definitely more athletic. We'll see. I mean, are they going to be doing 4 games or 3 games this year with preseason? Have they announced that?
I mean, I don't know. I think
are they even going to have a preseason? I guess
no one knows. I mean, you have Arthur Blank.
Yeah, I mean that's the problem.
Arthur Blank, the Falcons owner, he says there might be a season, but with no fans. And then I saw a report that they could be thinking about 14 games regular season. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of preseason, training camp, off-season workouts. So if any time there was a year to, trade your picks for veterans because you don't necessarily draft well, like Howie Roseman, like maybe get Yannick Ngakoue in here for your first round pick, and maybe some other picks. Maybe
if I was,
I think this is the perfect year to do that. I don't know how.
I wouldn't be trading him for draft picks just in lieu of that situation.
Yeah, but Brad, this is what you fail to realize with Yannick. The Jaguars have zero leverage.
Right, but what do they need? What do they want? What do they want your garbage for?
Give them garbage. What do you mean it's garbage? They're draft picks. That's what they want.
No, give them Cox. Give them a real player.
They don't want Cox.
How do you know?
Why would you trade the Jaguars?
Why would the Jaguars just give you their best player for nothing?
They're not giving us anything.
The 21st pick in the draft is not even close to how good.
That's the main part of the package.
Yeah, but I wouldn't give up the 21st pick. I mean, if I were the Eagles, sure, but for Jacksonville, I think
you don't understand. You don't understand that the Jaguars have killed their leverage. Yannick killed the Jaguars' leverage by telling him he's not playing there.
Yeah, but they could still get whatever they want.
What do I always say, Brad? What do I always say about these situations? The longer the team with the disgruntled player waits, the less they get in return. If they don't get done before the draft, they're going to get peanuts. And the fact that
we'll see about that. Again, you're getting a guy. Is he going to be a free agent next year, or is it?
He's tagged this year, so I don't know what the rules are anymore about. You can tag 2 years in a row, and there's only one tag. I don't quite understand the new CBA, probably as much as I should, but he's tagged this year.
Right.
They need to work out a trade. The Jaguars need to desperately work out a trade for this.
Okay, but I think they could do a lot better than what the Eagles are offering. Well,
okay, so if you give them 21, a third next year, and a player like Derek Barnett, that doesn't get it done. I mean,
Barnett's not that good. I would want one of their top players.
I mean, I flirted the idea of trading Zach Ertz for. What's wrong, Frank? Nothing. Frank's just being goofy. We got Frank back on the screen, ladies.
Yes, we do. He's trying to make fun of me, and that's okay. Hey, Frank.
But I flirted the idea of trading one of our young tight ends.
Listen, the Giants could trade,
and I got absolutely destroyed on Facebook for it.
The Giants could trade their first round pick, and it would be worth a lot more than your first round pick if they really wanted this guy.
What are you talking about? The Jaguars have the 9th pick and the 19th pick.
Right. The Giants have the 4th pick.
I don't know why Yannick isn't in Giant Blue. I don't understand it.
He was saying he wanted to play there before. I mean,
he wants to play. He'd rather
play anywhere than
get shipped to the moon naked than playing Jackson.
Yeah, I mean he's been teasing not only the Philly fan base but the New York fan base as well with
he was doing that.
I don't know if he's trying to get the Eagles to make a move or the Giants to make a move, or he's just to mess with everybody. But
do you recall? Did Trent Cole got traded? Did he not?
Who?
Trent what?
Trent Cole. The guy on the Reds.
Trent Cole? Trent Cole played years ago, bro.
Yeah.
Not
Trent Williams?
Trent Williams, I'm sorry.
Not that unless I missed something.
Did he get traded or is he still there?
Trent Williams. I think he's still He's still with Washington right now, Trent.
Okay, he's another one. He's the same situation.
Well, yeah, and how long has he been on the trade block, Brad?
Since last year.
Right, and now what are the Redskins going to get for him because they sat on their asses and did nothing because they're a sad, pathetic organization?
I don't know.
If they traded him right away before everyone figured out he was disgruntled, they probably would have gotten a first-round pick for him.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're looking at every team in the league might want a guy like that, as well as Yannick. Every team.
Trent Williams is up to 31 years old. Yannick Ngakoue is 24. I don't understand why a team hasn't stepped up like the Giants.
Well, they were talking about it, but I don't know.
Like Tennessee, the Patriots, who are in kind of a transition phase. You got this guy. I think he's the best 4-3 defensive end in the league. I don't know if I'm missing anybody, but
he's pretty darn good, though.
I don't know. I don't understand why no one's stepping up to go grab this guy.
I mean, Ante could step up and try to grab him. I mean, just think how good he looked there. But again, he'd have a 30th round pick or a 32nd round pick to give him. That's not a lot either.
Yeah, but I mean, look, everyone tells me that it's going to take more than a first round pick to get him.
I would think so.
So I don't know. I'd be trying to make a deal quickly, sooner rather than later than the Jaguars.
I mean, you have 25 days to pull something off until the draft. So
if they don't trade him for the draft, they're going to get peanuts on their money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is if you're getting a guy like that and the season ends up and you don't have a season, then what?
Yeah, but he's 24, Brad, and I got to ink him up to a 5-year, one of the richest contracts for anyone on defense ever.
Well, the question with him is where does he really want to go? Because he'll get his choice, obviously.
How's he going to get his choice if he's traded?
Well, after this year, he can go wherever he wants.
That's true.
These guys that are franchised, they're rentals for. It's a tough situation. You got to be careful if you're going to get this guy.
I mean, I'm not making the trade if I'm Howie Roseman if I don't have
Well, that might be part of it, Rob.
Relative framework for a long-term extension. I mean, let's be real. Come on, Brad. I mean,
I'm just saying that might be a part of why some of these teams are backing off a little bit right now.
They're scared to pay him.
Well, not only are they scared to pay him, they're also afraid
the NFL and everyone's playing chicken with the Jaguars. Like, we're not giving you 2 first-round picks. He doesn't want to play there, and if we just wait a year, we're going to get him without giving up just our cap space and no draft picks.
But do you honestly think the guy's going to sit out a year of his career and not get paid? Because I have a hard time believing that.
I mean,
football players, especially guys who aren't quarterbacks.
Bell did it. I mean, Melvin Gordon tried to do it. It's not a smart strategy.
No.
Bell got his money. That's not really fair, but
football players.
Melvin Gordon got 2 years, $16 million.
Yeah, but football players.
The Chargers didn't pay him that.
Their careers are short. So for this guy to actually sit out the season, I don't buy that he's going to do that. He can threaten all he wants, but when push comes to shove, what was his franchise tag, like $18 million? You really think he's going to leave that?
Probably something like that.
Yeah, you really think he's going to leave that much money on the table? Come on, that's a lot of money to leave on the table.
I mean, I hope Melvin Gordon fired his agent because it happened to him.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I'm saying. You start doing stuff like that. Football players don't have long shelf lives, as we all know. To do that, unless you're a quarterback, it's hard to get away with doing that. You miss a season, you're not going to be necessarily in football shape, and you come back and you're just not as good. Look at what happened to Le'Veon Bell. Did that work out for him? No.
I mean, he got his money.
Yeah, but he was terrible last year, and he's in danger of getting cut. And he didn't get all guaranteed money.
Yeah, the Jets aren't going to cut Le'Veon Bell. They're going to get an infrastructure, and they're going to get the Jets. They might cut Le'Veon Bell. They're a bunch of idiots up there, but Le'Veon Bell, a pretty good player. I know the stats weren't there last year for him, but
he wasn't good because he wasn't good. They also had a horrible offensive line. I mean, let's be honest. That it wasn't all his fault, but he was pretty bad last year. I mean, he really wasn't good.
All right, Marquise Motley checking in. Eagles' priority should be getting their $132 million quarterback a reliable receiver. You're not alone, Marquise, excuse me. I'm dumbfounded that Howie is relying solely on the draft to give Carson adequate weapons because I look at the Eagles roster right now and I look at Deshaun, yeah, he's pretty good, stretch to the field, older player, injury history. Greg Ward, he should make the football team, but am I supposed to trust Greg Ward to be like a reliable slot receiver after just I don't know. I'm dumbfounded. The only solution I have to get a veteran in here is if Sammy Watkins gets cut from the Chiefs.
But there is always a second wave of free agents too after June 1st.
You're right.
That's the thing. You still have cap space. I mean, he hasn't used up all your money yet. So there's still a chance for him to do what he's got to do. There's also teams that might want somebody else and are really stretched out against the cap and may get rid of somebody because they want to make more cap space and could find somebody expendable that's a quality receiver. There are plenty of good quality receivers. Receivers are not hard to find, especially
unless you're Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, you have to make an effort to find them. But they're not. Right. It's not that hard to get one.
But why do I feel like Howie Roseman's just sitting in his office, laughing at the TV, laughing at the internet, ha 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 ha, like Mr. Smithers from The Simpsons? They think we need receivers. I'll show them I can win with bottom of the barrel, dog shit receivers because I'm smarter than everyone else, and I'm Howie Roseman, and I built a team in 2017, and I'm going to do it again. Why do I feel just a smugness? There's a factor in regards to Howie Roseman turning his nose up at every free agent, veteran wide receiver. When you have a franchise quarterback, I'm sorry. Look, and some people think that you add Jerry Jeudy or one of these top tier guys to this roster, and it's time to go to the Super Bowl. I don't see that at all. I think this team needs.
That's asking a lot out of a rookie receiver.
I need multiple offensive weapons for me to feel good about this football team playing deep into January, and I just feel like there's a smugness factor from Howie Roseman in terms of.
I think he's trying to
be able to win without a top tier receiver.
I think he's being careful not to overpay anybody. I think they kind of got caught with their pants down with Alshon Jeffrey, and that
was a smug move because he did not have to guarantee his salary this year.
Brandon,
he went out of his way to put him up against it with Alshon Jeffrey because he thought Alshon Jeffrey was. Basically, he guaranteed Alshon Jeffrey's money this year, and then Alshon Jeffrey just became a huge problem. Being injured, mouthing off, not respecting the quarterback for the great player that he is. It's ridiculous. So, and if you want to use the excuse that, I have too many resources locked up because I have Alshon Jeffrey, signed up, guaranteed money, and I have J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, a second-round pick, and I have, millions of dollars tied up in Deshaun. I'm not buying that. And everyone who thinks that Howie Roseman's this big genius now, if he wants to rely on only a rookie receiver to be enough for Carson, and it's not enough for Carson, those same people who think that Howie's such a genius are going to want to be hanging him from the Walt Whitman Bridge because this team's not good enough. And I don't think this team is good enough right now to contend for a Super Bowl. Division champion.
I don't think they are right now either.
Division champion, yes. Not a Super Bowl contender.
They're only a division champion because the division is pathetic. That's really the only reason. If they were in another division, they'd have a problem.
They'd have a huge problem. Yeah, and I don't think your Giants are going to be pushovers this year like last year.
No, I think they'll be better, but I think
hard games against the Giants this year.
Their record is going to be. The Giants won't be better than 6-10 because of their schedule.
But you don't know that. You don't know that in March here, Brad.
You could sort of
Yeah. The only thing I looked at your schedule the other day. The only thing you got really screwed on is you finished third, and your 2 swing games. Tampa has to be one of your swing games because they.
One of our swing games. That's not going to be an easy game.
I mean, that's
either will the Rams. Oh, they play the Rams anyway. Who's the other team? The Bears.
It's the
Bears.
Who finished third in the North?
Bears.
The Bears. So you play the Bears. I mean,
now they could beat the Bears. They should.
That would be
last year.
I'm not quaking in my boots about facing the Bears next year. I mean, give me
they're going to be better at quarterback.
I mean, you think they're going to start Foles, or you think they're going to have a competition?
Oh, I think he's going to start.
You think he's going to start?
Oh, absolutely.
So they're giving up on the second pick in the draft.
Listen, Foles.
Unbelievable.
We all know what Foles can do. Maybe as an outsider looking in, okay, I saw what Foles can do. I don't know if he can do it over a 16-week season, but Foles.
The answer is no, he can't.
He's a major upgrade over Trubisky. Trubisky is horrible. Trubisky can't hit the outside of a barn. I mean, the only thing really he can do is he can run. And last year he couldn't do that because he was injured half the season. But he's not good. And if he's not good, if your quarterback isn't good, you're screwed.
I mean,
that's why, and I think Foles is a huge upgrade.
Okay.
They're not going to be an easy team to play this year. They still have a good defense.
Yeah, they always have defense. All right, Marquise Motley. Giannis situation is difficult because if a deal is done, they lift the tag, but the Eagles would have to re-sign him before the trade can be completed. Yeah, I mean, you're not trading for a Yannick for 1 year and then letting him walk. You're paying him his quote. You're paying him like one of the top defensive edge rushers in the entire league, and that's part of the deal. And I have no problem.
You're going to probably pay whoever gets this guy is probably going to be paying $90 million for 5 years. I think that's realistically what you're going to be looking at.
I mean, look, I get in arguments on Facebook all the time. Good players make good money.
I know. No, I'm just saying.
You want to get good players in your building, you either have to draft well, which I don't trust Howie to do, or you got to pay for him, which he did. Was like everyone's like, oh my gosh, $16.5 million a year for Darius Slay. A, it's only for 3 years, and 2, he's a perfect scheme fit. He's a man physical corner, which Schwartz likes. And number 3, like good play. Like, what are you gonna nickel and dime? If you nickel and dime in free agency, you're probably not gonna win that many games unless you get really lucky, which Howie Roseman did in 2017. Everything kind of fell together. But I'm
free agency is not something you can build your team around. It's something that you should be filling the holes in. A good team fills holes, doesn't build their team around.
Right, and Howie had a lot of. I'm just saying, Howie had a lot of holes to fill this offseason because he's been suspect in the draft.
Well, look at our team. we tried to basically fill in our holes in free agency, and it's very hard to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
it's very hard.
We did it in Philadelphia for years.
Listen, I like Crackrell, and I like Blake Martinez, and Bradbury is good. I like most of the free agents that they signed. I think they did a nice job. But you know what? They still have a ton of holes on their team, a ton of them, and they're going to have to address the rest of the holes with the draft. They still don't have a pass rusher. And they still need a stud offensive lineman. Actually, they really could use 2 offensive linemen because they need a center. Because Jalapeno isn't getting re-signed, so I don't know what they're going to do.
In terms of the Giants, I mean, you got good free agent. They kind of like the
good free agents, but they had so many holes to fill. Rob, they needed to.
I understand. There's a reason they're picking 4th in the draft.
Well, because their drafting has been so bad. Last year they had a very good draft.
Because Jerry Reese didn't know what he was doing.
No, and they kept him 3 years too long. That was the problem, and they also
that's your problem with your franchise. But you got Lawrence last year in the first round, and you got Jones in the first round last year. So you have a quarterback, which makes
who they don't have to pay who they don't have to pay anything for right now. That's why they can afford to go out and spend a lot of money on premier players, especially defensively, because they're not going to have to pay their quarterback yet. They got 4 more years before they have to do that.
Wayne Anthony Thompson checking in. Here's a scenario: Yannick for a 3rd, a 6th, Alshon Jeffrey, and Rasul Douglas. I mean, Wayne, my man, like,
I wouldn't do that. If I
a
was
6, Alshon Jeffrey. First off, Alshon Jeffrey's not getting traded. Can we just get?
want him.
Can we get a news flash? We send a memo to the Philadelphia fan base.
He's going to get
Alshon
released.
Jeffrey is not getting traded.
He's going to get released, and somebody will pick him up for like $3 million. And
right, he's either going to be here and play, rehab his injury, play, and hopefully give you something, or he's going to get cut, and you're going to have that dead money sitting aside. But I would cut him just because I don't like him in my locker room when he clearly doesn't like the quarterback, doesn't get along with the quarterback. Whatever's going.
He's also taking a roster spot.
He's not getting traded. No one is taking that guaranteed contract. Alshon Jeffrey has no value. Plus, he's injured. We have no idea what's going on with his rehab. He can't be at the facility. He can't be with the doctors because of this stupid virus. It's just a mess. Alshon Jeffrey is not getting traded. I'm sick of people proposing that he's an attractive piece on the trade market because he's not. He's hurt. He's expensive. And the Eagles are just stuck because Howie guaranteed his contract for no reason.
Well, the problem is people think, Eagle fans especially, think that everybody's going to want him. They don't put it in the same class as, the other general managers get paid too, and they know what's going on. So, I mean, the only way you could trade Alshon Jeffrey is if you take an equally big problem from another team.
A trash for trash trade. Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to trade him. And you're going to get somebody else who's a big pain in the ass. Because that's what happens in the NFL. If you trade your pain in the ass, you're going to get another team's pain in the ass.
Doug Z checking in. Brandon Cooks, I'd make a call. Zeker, I'd make a call too. Peter King wrote an article. I think it dropped today. Could have been yesterday. I was reading it. I mean, he thinks the Rams it's going to take, pick 53, which is a 2nd-round pick for the Rams, for Brandon Cooks. I'm not giving up a 2nd-round pick for Brandon Cooks. I'm not giving up a 3rd-round pick for Brandon Cooks. The Eagles have 3 4th-round picks. If you want to trade one of them for Brandon Cooks, I'm all for it because he's 26 years old. He has a proven skill set in this league, and I would welcome him to the team. He's also,
I don't know that you're going to be able to get him for a 4th-round pick. A 3rd,
I don't think so either.
Yeah, a 3rd maybe. Second's a lot for him because he's been beaten up. He's had a lot of injuries too.
Well, he got knocked out by Malcolm Jenkins in the Super Bowl, and he's really never been the same since.
No, he hasn't. He's missed a lot of games too. So I don't know about him.
Marquise Motley. Marquise killing it tonight. Hopefully Marquise continues to check into the program. He's killing it in the comments. We took JJ over Metcalf. We took Jordan Matthews over Jarvis Landry and Devontae Adams. At some point, we have to look at our scouts. Yeah, I mean, Howie's the king scout. He's the player personnel guy. If I were owning an NFL football team, if I were Jeffrey Lurie and I owned the Philadelphia Eagles, Howie Roseman would be nowhere near my draft war room. Nowhere near it. I need a football guy that understands value at the time and in command of my draft room, not a nerd accountant who wants to think he's the smartest guy in the room and wants to outsmart everyone and just make shitty picks year after year. That's me, though. Obviously, Jeffrey Lurie is a successful businessman. He's rolling with Howie. I'm not a Howie guy. I'm just not. You build through the draft, and Howie Roseman always has to figure out a way to maneuver the cap because he can't draft consistently. And it's a problem. And I'm nervous heading into this draft. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Well, this is a crossroads year for the Eagles, without question. This is the 3rd year after the Super Bowl. A lot of the guys are old now, and they have to make a lot of changes.
I think the Eagles need for the Eagles to be.
This is a crucial draft where if they want to remain an elite team, they've got to hit home runs this year.
I think you need 3 starters out of this draft. If you want to be a legitimate challenge to the Seattles and the San Franciscos and the Green Bays of the world, New Orleans, I think Tampa's in that mix now with Brady. I think you got to get 3 starters with your 8 picks. 3 day 1 starters from your 8.
I agree with you wholeheartedly with that.
You got to go 3 out of 8. And I need immediate impact guys. I don't need small school products. I don't need small school hybrids like Jeremy Chin.
Well, they could always listen. They could always trade up
Tyler Diggs or whatever his name is from
whatever. They could always draft. I mean, if there's a receiver they want to get a guy like Judy, they could trade up in theory.
Yes, they could.
It might cost them a first rounder next year. But I mean, if they want to trade up, they could always do something like that.
Here's why I don't like trading up for Judy. It's not because Jerry Judy's not a good player, because he certainly looks like a fantastic player. I think he's the best receiver in the draft, and it's.
Well, a lot of people agree with you about that.
And I think it's a lot closer between my number 2 guys, Justin Jefferson, but I get crushed for that all the time too. I think the gap between Jefferson's fairly large, but I don't think it's as large as people make it out to be. I mean, you got to get ahead of the Jets at 11. I think the Browns pick 10, and obviously they're not going to pick a receiver.
No.
Well, they might, but they shouldn't.
I doubt it. I mean, unless they're planning to trade Odell Beckham, and I doubt they're going to do that.
So
it's another year to prove it out in Cleveland.
I think you got to get to at least 10 to get Judy. And like you said, that's probably going to cost you your 2nd round pick and a 1 next year.
They'll probably have to switch ones and do something like that.
I just told you I need 3 day 1 starters out of this draft to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Jerry Jeudy, for as gifted as he is, and he is gifted, him being the only, day 1 or day 2 pick they come out of this draft, I don't know if that alone makes the Eagles a Super Bowl contender. I don't think it does. I think you need.
I don't know if they can get enough players to do that this year. That's the problem. I mean, you're asking a lot. They might be able to, but I mean, I think if you're going for star value, you might want to try to do that because you still have a pretty good offensive line. Your running back is pretty good. You've got a really good quarterback. You need to get some weapons for him. They didn't go out and get Robbie Anderson, which is not a terrible thing because I think Robbie.
And I like Robbie Anderson. I thought he would have.
I don't think he's worth nearly what he got. I mean, I think that would have been an overpayment.
No, you're probably right about that. But I think he's
okay. He's not bad.
He's a piece.
He's a number 2 on a good team, though.
Yeah,
he's not on a good.
But Brad, if he goes to Carolina and kills it, no one's going to care how much money he.
No, I agree, but then again, Carolina is not going to be a very good team this year either.
Probably not.
So
I believe in Matt Rule long term. I agree with that, but Charlie Cashley does his work on NFL Network. He always says when this stuff comes up, look, when I was a general manager, every underachieving player, I knew exactly how much they made. Every player that was good and pulled their weight, I didn't care how much they made because they do their job. Who cares how much they do their job? So if Robbie Anderson goes down there and has a good season with Teddy Bridgewater back with his college coach, no one's going to care that they overpaid a little bit. They're going to see that they have a good receiver. And
I agree with you, but he
would have been my ideal. He would have been my ideal veteran receiver for this team.
But for you, it would have been for the Eagles. It would have been overpaying because you guys really want to get a top quality receiver. You wanted a legitimate number 1 receiver.
Yeah, but why can't I overpay Robbie Anderson a little bit to get him in my building and then trade up and get Judy?
That wouldn't have been a bad idea. They didn't do it, but I mean, in theory, you could have done that.
I'm just saying they're so biased.
But who's to say you can't go out and bring in a receiver from another team for a fourth round?
I get it.
So you got Jordan Howard last year for a fourth round pick. Jordan Howard.
I get you. And I think Howie is gonna be making some moves. There's gonna be some. Howie always makes trades on draft day, leading up.
There's gonna be. Listen, there's gonna be
always playing his games.
There's gonna be
nerd games with his value chart.
Yeah, there's gonna be receivers out there because some of these teams are gonna draft receivers, and they're gonna let some of the guys who they feel they're ready to move on from. They'll let go, and that's where the Eagles can jump in and improve their team.
Bob Brinkman, since we have improved our secondary, I would make the deal with the Jags for the 21st and Barnett. So Bob wants to trade the 21st pick and Derek Barnett for Yannick. It's a trade I'm making all day. That's better than the last trade scenario we heard with the 3, the 6, Alshon Jeffrey and Rasul Douglas. Look, if I have to give you, 21, my third this year, and a player, and I don't know.
Yeah, but then you're getting back to you're the same problem that you've had all along. What are you going to be doing about your receivers? You still have to go out and get some receivers. And if you're trading all your pieces to get a defensive lineman, then what are you going to do about your receivers?
But I don't understand. I see I see other teams bring in guys like off the street and they put them at receivers and they have like 3-4 catches in a game. Everywhere except here.
That can happen. I mean, look, you know what? Anything can happen. Look, the Giants picked Slayton in the 5th round, and look what ended up happening with him. He's a good player. I mean, but he also had good coaching, and I think that that obviously, and he had a special thing with Daniel Jones. As a matter of fact, when Eli Manning was in there. For those 2 games when he played against the Eagles and he played against the Dolphins, he played very well with Darius Slayton. So I mean,
looks like a player.
But you can get guys like that, receivers like that.
Okay, but Howie Roseman has been in charge of this team forever, and they don't get guys like that. Other teams get guys like that all the time. We don't get that. We don't get those guys. It's just the way it is. We don't get those guys here. We don't get those immediate impact skill guys enough for me to be a Howie Roseman guy and for me to trust him with this.
Is it Howie or is it Doug?
No, Howie picks the players. Doug has enough time coaching during the games to be picking the players too. And I think Jim Schwartz clearly has pull on what defensive guys are drafted and brought in.
Well, of course he does. He's the defensive coordinator. I mean,
right. Well, I'm just saying, if you look at every guy the Eagles signed on defense, damn near all of them have played for Jim Schwartz, whether he was
I mean, listen, that's common though with defensive coordinators. I mean, and former coaches. I mean, look at the Giants. They picked 2 guys from Green Bay because they're defensive coordinators from Green Bay.
Right.
I mean, that's not. But that's not unusual.
Bob Brinkman says you can get a good receiver in the 2nd round. I think you can get a good receiver in the 2nd.
You can get a good receiver in the 3rd and 4th round too.
I think I can find a good receiver in the 3rd and 4th round, 2nd round. I'm just not sure how he can. I can definitely.
I think you're being a little. You're going a little overboard. I think
that's what I do, Brad. I get on here. We go live Monday at 7:00, and I go over.
Yeah, but if Howie gets the right guys available, I think he'll find them. I don't think
I could find your receiver on day 2 and day 3, and I bet you I have a better chance at finding a receiver on day 2 or day 3 than Howie Roseman does. I mentioned I don't agree with the poll, Brad. I don't trust Howie Roseman with the draft at all.
I got that impression.
Disagree, like vehemently.
Yeah, I got that.
Go ahead and prove me wrong, Howie. Go draft a bunch of studs and play deep into January. I welcome it. I welcome the figures of Philadelphia sports that I'm critical of.
Rob, at least you didn't go trading your 3rd round pick for Leonard Williams and then franchise him.
I mean. Look, I know you because you get on. You're just like me. This is why we get along so well because you're critical of your teams too. Probably overboard at times.
Yes, I would agree, but
Gettleman has a track record. I know
Yeah.
we kind of messed up with Soldier there, and you hate him for that, but
Soldier is a disgrace. I'm not sure about Leonard Williams either.
But Jerry Reese left him with a pile of
Jerry
garbage.
Reese totally destroyed this team, and that was John Mara's fault for not getting rid of him.
But
because we were complaining about getting rid of him in 2014, and it took him 4 years before he finally had the guts to do it. But it was apparent 2 years after they won the Super Bowl that this guy wasn't the right guy anymore.
Bob Brinkman thinks the Eagles need a left guard. I guess Bob's not a Samalu guy, but I mean Samalu's been pretty solid.
Well, I think their offensive lines. I don't think that's the problem at all with that team. I think that their skill positions are still pretty weak. They've got Ertz and they've got Goddard and they've got Miles. What's his name again?
Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders. Yeah, they got him. So I mean, they've got 3 guys that are pretty good. But they really do need a couple of wide receivers, and they clearly need Deshaun Jackson to come back and be healthy, and that could be a key also.
Anthony Addies, Blake Martinez. Anthony Addies thinks Blake Martinez is trash. Not sure if he's a Green Bay guy or just a Giants hater.
Blake Martinez had over 100 tackles last year.
Yeah, I don't think Blake Martinez is trash at all. I think that was a really
good move getting him.
Yeah, I think him and Bradbury are really good.
Yeah, I agree. No, and listen, you're comparing what you have to do with Blake Martinez is look at who he's replacing, and that's Ogletree. And Ogletree really wasn't good last year, and he was hurt. Yeah, and he's been kind of a disappointment since he got here. I think he's a major upgrade over Alec Ogletree.
I'm more with your Bradbury signing.
Yeah, no, and I like him too.
Because he's a veteran. Because they
had Jenkins. They had Jenkins as their feature number one. And Jenkins last year was terrible.
And then I like the kids you have up there too. I like DeAndre Baker a lot out of Georgia. I think that he really started playing well towards the end.
Conley looks like he's going to be a very good middle linebacker. I kind of liked him. He's obviously not going to be a middle linebacker now, but the Giants are going to be playing a 3-4. So I mean,
you need 2 of them then.
Well, he's the other one.
Just finishing up with your secondary. You know, you have Bradbury, you have Julian Love, you have DeAndre Baker, and you have Jabril Peppers.
That's not bad. It's young.
That's not bad. I don't know what's going on with your other safety position, but I mean, those are 2 young guys that I really like.
Well, I think they're going to give Love a chance, if I'm not mistaken.
At safety?
Well, no, he's not a safety.
He's corner. He's from Notre Dame.
I think Ballantyne's the one they have one guy they want to give. I think it was Ballentine. They want to give him a shot, but I'm pretty sure they're going to draft a safety. I don't think that's that they're necessarily leaning on one over the other.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of safeties I like in this draft. I've been in the prospect bunker here in quarantine, and every so often I put my draft. I call it my 2020 draft primer. I updated it today and put it out on Facebook. So if you don't follow me on Facebook, follow me on Facebook. Rob Brinkman. Throw some sports stuff around and see what prospects I like. They're not all first-round guys, too. I really did my digging, my deep, and they're not just Eagles prospects, too, for all you guys that, like other teams. They're players that I think are going to succeed in this league no matter where they go. Most of them are sleepers, though. Bob Brinkman, the Giants should trade out, move down, and get more picks to improve overall, which I think the Giants are.
They might do that. I think that's a very good possibility that.
Well, they're in a perfect position. They have the best pick in the draft, in my opinion.
No, I agree, especially
in terms of trading.
Yeah, well, it depends on what the Redskins do.
Well, I mean, good luck trying to figure that out.
And the Lions too. I mean, if the Redskins,
they're another one.
But if the Redskins and Lions both trade down, okay, somebody's going to be coming in and taking those spots to draft a quarterback. So if they do that, then the Giants should stay at the 4 hole and draft the kid from Ohio State.
That still goes to my point. Like,
but the Giants don't have to do that.
That's great.
They could.
That's still great because you're going to get Chase Young or Okuda or whoever you want.
That's what I'm thinking that they could. If they can't get a guy like Chase Young, then I would think that they would probably trade down, let one of the teams that want to get a quarterback take their spot, and then they trade down and they get a number 1 pick next year to go with another pick and maybe an extra second-round pick this year. I mean, that's what you do. You got to when you're in a situation like them, you've got to add as many bodies as you can. I mean, you really do. It's not just one hole with the Giants.
Right. Raheem Jackson, would you guys pick Denzel Mims over Justin Jefferson with our first-round pick? Why or why not? Look, maybe someone can hit me up on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter at BrinksTheMan15. I just gave out my Facebook information. All you Justin Jefferson haters that don't see the potential star that this kid is, please.
Wasn't he the guy from LSU?
Yeah.
That guy is
get it. The guy's a total speed demon. He runs great routes. He creates great separation. He had 111 catches in the SEC in a pro-style passing attack. And, oh, yeah, he practiced against maybe the best defense ever in college football every single day. So I think Justin Jefferson would be a steal at 21. Denzel Mims, yay, 6'3", he's 220, he's kind of fast, but I don't know, I see him as a second-round guy. I'd feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know what he kind of
Denzel Mims that high in the draft.
He kind of reminds me of I don't know if you remember this guy. You may not have seen him play. He played a while ago, but Bob probably you can remember him. Mark Monk. He could be a guy like that too, though.
You're talking about Jefferson?
No, I'm talking about Mims. He could be a Monk type player, but Jefferson's got the ability to be a number 1 receiver in this league without a doubt, and a threat, a deep threat as well. I mean, that guy's legitimate number 1 receiver.
Yeah, but I mean, you see, and this is why I like Judy, and I put Jefferson right behind Judy, is because Judy and Jefferson can also play the slot just as well as they can an outside receiver position. I like that versatility and a dynamic big-time slot receiver. I mean, it's become a necessity in today's NFL. Bill Middlebrook, Jefferson is awesome. I know it goes both ways, but he made Burrows look great. Burrows transferred to LSU so he could play. Yeah, and I see that argument a lot there, Bill, and that's a good comment, and I get it. Like, Jefferson had it pretty good there with Joe Burrow. He was putting the ball in the money all season, but, I mean...
Yeah, but NFL quarterbacks, for the most part, are going to do that.
Yeah, Carson's not going to have it on the money. Like, all these guys are great.
Yeah, guys in the NFL are going to put balls right on the money. That's...
Look, and
if you're open,
Let's just say, for the sake of argument, I thought it was close between Justin Jefferson and Mims, which I don't think it is. I think Jefferson's way better. I'm going with the SEC national champion, LSU Tiger, not the Baylor Bear in the stinky Pac-12. Or not the Big 12, excuse me, not Pac-12.
That's very solid reasoning, and I totally agree with you about that. I mean, you can't compare when you're playing the SEC, you're playing against defenses that are, that play pro-style defense that are really good.
Right, and you look at a team like Mississippi State, who can't get shit done in the SEC West because they're never going to be as good as Bama. They're never going to be as good as LSU.
They're a good team. You put them
maybe once. Yeah, exactly. You put them in the stinky Pac-12 or the Big 12 where you play no defense and you have those animals that are just going to hit you in the mouth. They're right in playoff contention.
Absolutely. I mean that's the whole thing. I mean,
I don't know. I get it that people downgrade. I don't understand why Jefferson gets downplayed because Burrows played great. I don't get that.
Well, you can't criticize a guy for playing on a great team. Part of the fact that the team was great was because he was on
Because
it.
Jefferson was on it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
We're on the same page.
that's why. And Burrow was great. Yeah, Burrow had great receivers too. It goes hand in hand. It's a two-way street. And he had big-time running backs.
Like if Joe Burrows played at Baylor last year, is Baylor winning the national championship? I don't think so. Is Joe Burrow winning the Heisman at Baylor?
No.
Last year?
No,
I don't think so either. I know. Joe Burrow was also really good because he had Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, well, and he had a great offensive line.
Yeah, great. They have guys everywhere.
They had that offense.
They might have 5 first-round picks, which is absurd.
Yeah, it was a
loaded team, but I'm not going to downgrade what I see in Justin Jefferson because he played on a good team. I think that's ludicrous. I also think you want guys who have played at a championship level, played in big games against the best competition in college football in the SEC. So I totally disagree with all these people that say, Justin Jefferson is a reach at pick 21. I don't see it at all.
No, he's not a reach. I think that's probably where he belongs. It's probably about right. I mean, listen, if he's available in the second round, somebody's going to grab him quickly. He's available in the second round.
I think he might have to move up I think he might have to move up for him. Honestly, I think you might have to move up for Justin Jefferson.
It depends on some of these teams and what they
look, there's going to be a run at receivers. You're going to have San Francisco at 13. You have the Raiders at 12. You have who else is up there? Tampa's at 14. I don't know what they're going to do with Brady now. The Jets at 11 could be in a receiver. So there's going to be a run on receivers. Bill Middlebrook says Jefferson won't make it past 18. I think the Dolphins have the 18th pick. They need everything. So if you want Jefferson, I think you're going to have to move up for him. I don't think you're going to have to move up as far as you're going to have to for Judy. But I think you're going to be in the top 10. Nonetheless.
Judy's going to be in the top 10, but there are a lot of teams that need.
I think Judy could go as high as 5 to Miami. I think he could go 6 to the Chargers.
That depends. That depends on the Redskins and the Lions and the Giants. If they trade down,
I'm not picking a quarterback, and I'm not picking a quarterback at 6 in the first round if I'm the Chargers. I'm either trading for Cam or I'm going with Tyrod Taylor. Tyrod Taylor's taking teams to the playoffs.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he's okay. You can listen. You could do worse than him at quarterback, but I mean
you give me Tyrod Taylor and Keenan Allen and Jerry Jeudy and that defense. I think I have a good chance to make a wild card in what I think is the weaker conference in the SEC. So I don't know. I wouldn't be looking to draft a quarterback in the first round if I'm Los Angeles. Then I'm trying to go through the top 10 here.
I mean, it's
5, 6. Arizona's not going to pick a receiver. Cleveland's not going to pick a receiver. I don't think Jacksonville would pick a receiver, but who knows? Carolina's at 7. I don't know what they're going to do at all, but.
I think Carolina needs to rebuild their defense.
Phil Mormon, wide receiver, round 2, or round 1, wide receiver, round 2, linebacker, round 3, safety. I think you're pretty on the money there, Phil. I think the Eagles are boxed in right now, which I hate because teams that draft for need miss more than the teams that draft for best available. But I think you're boxed into having 2 of those top 3 picks be receivers and the other one being a linebacker. Because this team has no linebackers either.
Again, they're in a tough spot as far as where they're drafting, but there are moves that can be made.
Phil Mormon, I would trade Ertz and a pick for Julio Jones. We still got Goddard. We are fine at tight end. Look, Julio Jones is not getting traded. He has a $33 million dead cap hit if he is not on the Atlanta Falcons payroll.
He's not going anywhere then.
He's not going anywhere.
He's also the face.
The Falcons would have no interest in Zach Ertz because they just traded the extra second-round pick that they had from the Sanu trade to the Baltimore Ravens for a tight end in Hayden Hurst. So
and they also let
Julio Jones is not getting traded. Sean Jeffrey is not getting traded.
They let Hooper go too, didn't they?
They did. That's why they traded for that Hurst guy. I guess they like him.
Yeah. So I mean, they're not. No, they wouldn't. That's not what they would do.
I mean, $33 million dead cap hit.
No, it's not going to happen.
Raheem Jenkins, my mock. Justin Jefferson, 53.
Also, the face of the franchise. They're not going to do that.
No, it's just
that would make no sense whatsoever.
It's just ridiculous pipe dream internet nonsense.
Well, I mean, yeah, it'd be nice to get him, sure. Who wouldn't want Julio Jones? I mean, that's not out of the realm to want him, but that's not realistic.
I mean, Raheem Jackson, my mock 21, Justin Jefferson, 53, KJ Hamler, who I love, and then 103, Antoine Winfield. All three of those guys are on my Brinkman draft primer list. I don't think Antoine Winfield is going to be there at pick 103, which is a compensatory selection at the end of the third round. I think he's a second round guy. I think Hamler's great. He's not as big as Judy and Jefferson, but he can play the slot and he can play outside, and he's super fast. He's from the Big Ten, which I love. And I think that's a dream scenario, him at 53.
Never know. Yeah, I think he goes earlier than that.
Who, Hamler?
Yeah. Yeah. He's going to go.
Pro Football Focus's mock draft had 9 receivers in the first round. Now, that's an analytics-based mock draft, which I hate, but, I mean.
There's no way they're going to receive.
A lot of good receivers.
Yeah, but
there's a lot.
But there's a lot of really good defensive players too. A lot of good offensive linemen too. This is a pretty deep draft, from everything I've heard.
I'm just trying to Gregory Watch trade up and get Simmons. Look, Isaiah Simmons, he makes me nervous. I hear the word hybrid, and I know he's not.
He can play anywhere, though, from what I understand.
I know, but I hear the word hybrid, and I'm out. And I know he's super talented. I know he's super fast. I know he can play everywhere, but I need a guy with a position. These hybrid guys, they make me nervous. That's just me. And I think, look, I don't know. Isaiah Simmons, I guess he'll play linebacker if you were to pick here. CeeDee Lamb, I don't get the hype around CeeDee Lamb. I think he's the most overrated prospect in what I've been looking at. Yeah, he's 6'2". Yeah, he's super fast, but he never gets pressed in the Big 12. They play no defense there. I don't know. I'm not a big a Lamb guy as some guys are. I think Lamb would be 4th on my receiver list.
When in doubt, I think you got to try to stick with either the Southeast Conference or the Big Ten. That's
preaching to the choir.
That's where the best teams are playing against each other, and every week you're playing against a top-notch team. I think that's where you got to draft. I think those are the safest. But when you start going to smaller programs or conferences where they don't play,
I'm out.
Yeah, I
need 3 day 1 starters from SEC Big Ten guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you want to take a little bit of a project in the 4th and 5th round from a small school guy that you like.
That's different. That's different. That's where you should be drafting guys.
I gotta get starters in the days 1 and day 2. I know it's tough and it's easy just to go up and get one guy, but If you can hit on 2 of your 3 first-round picks, your first
three picks, yes.
Yeah, you get 2 guys there, then you hit on a lottery guy in the 4th, 5th, 6th round. That's how you win championships in this league. Then you fill in the gaps with free agency. I don't think
Exactly.
it's in them to do that. This is a big draft for Howie Roseman because I think his job is on the line this season. Because for them to fall,
they can't fall back to like 6 and 10. That's something they can't do. And if they don't have a good draft, you never know. I mean, it could.
I think he's more on the hot seat than people think, because last year was completely unacceptable. The job he did, completely unacceptable. And I hold my management and the players and the coaches of my favorite sports teams, I hold them accountable. And I don't care that he won the 2017 championship because he made smart moves. I care what he's doing right now. I'm not satisfied for the next 10 years because the Eagles won in 2017. Like, what do you do in business? Let's say me and you start a business and we make $10 million in the first year, Brad. And then, we only make $2 million, or we make 0, or we lose money in the second year. Are we going to be sitting there saying, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We lost all our money this year. We had a good year the year before, so we're happy."
Well, you'd have to be concerned because it's going the wrong way. You got to get it. You got to get started and get it moving in the right direction. You can't keep letting it go and get worse and worse. I mean, this is absolutely a key season for them.
Anthony Andes, Brinkman, thank God you are not a GM. Like, why, Anthony? Well, why would you think that I wouldn't be a good GM? I don't understand. Right now, you got a nerd accountant picking your players in next month's draft, and I'm supposed to feel like happy joy that he's going to do a good job. I don't trust the guy. I don't trust him to get 3 starters out of this draft. You put me in charge of that war room, I'm getting the Philadelphia Eagles 3 starters. I guarantee it. I get 3 starters out of this draft. And I'll keep all the picks. I'll keep every pick. I'll make 8 picks. I bet you get at least 4 day 1 contributors if I'm picking the teams. You'd be lucky, Anthony, if I were the GM of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think we'd win every year. We're damn close to it. We'd win every year. And we wouldn't play games with the cap. I'll tell you that much. We'd be in win now mode all the time. All right, Brad. Let's transition. Got a little out of hand with our Bryce Blackwell says CeeDee Lamb can play. You're insane. I mean, okay. He can go play in Dallas. He can go play in Tampa. He can go play in Carolina. There's other receivers I want over CeeDee Lamb. He's the 4th receiver on my board behind Ruggs, Jefferson, and Judy. And he's the only receiver, along with Ruggs, in my 2nd tier of receivers. So, Brad, let's go. Let's do some all-time lineup stuff. And baseball really got the ball rolling because if you saw on Twitter, I know you're not on Twitter, but Bryce Harper made his all-time lineup during the quarantine, featuring a whole bunch of guys, but let's start with baseball and let's kind of go through the sports.
Okay.
Make our all-time lineups. Now, mine are a little bit fun. I don't necessarily have the best, and we'll pick a DH and 1 relief pitcher and 1 starting pitcher, along with the 8 position guys.
Okay.
I don't, and to keep it moving and keep the discussion flowing, we'll rattle them off 3 at a time. Like, I'll pick 3, then you pick 3, and then we'll have our 10 guys at the end, 11 guys, whatever it is. So this is baseball. We'll do basketball. We'll do football. Football's kind of hard because I don't want to draft linemen. I'm not that nerdy about it. And hockey we can certainly do as well. But, Brad, so aliens have invaded the Earth, and they want to play baseball. You can pick any player from any time, from any era. You get them in their prime. I mean, what's your lineup looking like? Why don't you go ahead? Why don't you pick 3 guys, and then I'll pick my first 3 guys.
Well, to start,
Yes.
What positions are we starting at?
Whatever. I mean,
All right.
you pick whatever. It's an open draft board.
First three guys would be Ruth, Gehrig, and Mantle.
3 Yankees.
Well, I think they're 3 of the greatest.
Are you putting Ruth in right? Are you putting Ruth on the mound? Are you putting Ruth at DH?
Ruth is going to be a DH.
Okay.
I want his bat in there. I want Mantle in left. Give me Barry Bonds in center.
Yeah, Bonds. Yeah, I'll start with my outfield. Looks like I'm gonna have a lot of newer guys, and you're gonna have a lot of classic guys on your lineup. But
pretty much.
I mean, I'm gonna get. So you have Ruth, you have Mantle.
I have to get Ruth, Gehrig, and Mantle because Mantle is the greatest switch hitter of all time. Ruth was the greatest player of all time, and Lou Gehrig's stats: 1,935 RBIs. I mean,
I didn't have it in my ideal lineup, and I figured you were going to take some of them. I didn't have any of those guys in. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to shore up my outfield. I'm going to go with Bonds. I'm going to lead off Ichiro. I'm going to put him in right. Dynamic player, slap hitter, a guy I can trust. Great glove.
Here's a question for you: you're going to take him over Ty Cobb?
Yeah.
Okay. Just asking. I mean, Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb. He got inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1936. I mean,
I know. I'm just going by stats. I mean, I never thought Ty Cobb.
I get it. Ichiro Suzuki. It's not the most. You know, I'm not picking a top guy of all time. I get that, but I like his skill set. And I also like picking guys that I think are going to mesh together well in lineups.
Supposedly he got along with nobody. So
who? Ichiro?
No, Cobb.
Oh, Cobb. Everyone hated him.
Yeah. No, I mean,
But I mean, you hit 340 every year. I mean, I guess you can be a dickhead.
Yeah, he kind of reinvented that word though, from what I understand. But no, okay, go ahead. Keep going.
So I'm gonna put Bonds in left. I don't want Juicehead Bonds from like 01 San Francisco. I want like 1995 Bonds. I want the 45 home run leadoff hitter in Pittsburgh Bonds. You know, I want the
either way I take the Juicehead Bonds too. I mean, he was a great player.
Yeah, but I mean, I got other guys who are gonna bash. I need 2 leadoff guys at the top, and then I'll hit Willie Mays third in center field. So go ahead. Board's yours. You got Ruth, you got Gehrig, you got Mantle, 3 Yankees. Surprise, surprise. And I got Ichiro, I got Bonds, and I got Willie Mays.
Well, I would also take Bonds to finish the outfield. Okay.
Right. So you can pick someone else. I have Bonds. Just so we can talk about more guys.
Oh, okay. Sure. Okay.
I mean, there's plenty of guys.
Oh, yeah. Second base, Rod Carew.
You're going to take Carew. All right, so you didn't take my second baseman either. Nice.
I didn't take Hornsby. I mean, I could take Hornsby.
That's my guy, Hornsby.
I could take him, but I never saw him play. I loved Carew.
His baseball reference page blows my mind. Rogers Hornsby.
Oh, he was great. Rod Carew was a much different kind of a player, though. You know, Rod Carew stole home like 30 times.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a great base runner, unbelievable hitter. He won 8, 9 batting titles, something like
3,000 hit club Hall of Famer.
Yeah. I mean, I need a leadoff hitter, and that's my guy right there to lead off. You know, he could hit home runs if he wanted to. He just didn't bother because he was always.
That's like your Ichiro.
Huh?
That's your Ichiro.
Yeah,
leadoff guy.
Basically, yeah. It gets a little trickier at some of the other positions. Third base, I would probably have to take Schmidt.
All right, so you're taking Schmitty.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Shortstop. Shortstop's a tough one.
Shortstop and first were kind of the positions that.
Shortstop's tough only because you could go with Honus Wagner and take the easy way out.
I have Jeter. Written down.
I never saw Honus Wagner play, so it'd be awfully hard for me to pick him. supposedly he was unbelievable, and I have to give somebody in that era, get somebody in that era. So I think I might take Honus Wagner.
Jeter's my shortstop all day, every day.
Oh, I love Jeter, but I'm just that would be
clutch player. Really good hitter. I can hit him 9th, 8th, or 9th in this format and be fine. And if the world's
Wagner could bat leadoff or he could play lead. He could bat leadoff or bat.
Yeah, I mean, wherever you do a lot of different things.
Yeah, he was another speed demons.
I mean, you took Schmidt, so I guess I got to go George Brett at 3rd.
You could take Killebrew too. 586 home runs is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, but I mean, I could. You're correct.
I'm just, I'm just trying to help you out here.
No. Because
there's a George Brett. You're not gonna get an argument out of me. I like George Brett too.
But I don't want to play for the home run. I want to keep the line moving, so to speak. I want my high average, contact guys, because I have Mays and Bonds to crush everybody home. I mean, George Brett could hit home runs too, but he also hit for an extremely high average.
He did.
And the only active player, I picked an active player just to be fun as my first baseman.
A-Rod too. I mean, A-Rod had an outstanding career. You could put him at short, or you could put him at 3rd.
Yeah, and then my first baseman is Miguel Cabrera.
Yeah, well, if you remember, I took Gehrig, so that wouldn't be.
So I mean, that's like my active guy that I think integrate, Jeter and Miguel Cabrera as, not resurrected mummies, guys that I've actually seen play on there. And then who else? I have Horns. So I have Cabrera, I have Hornsby, I have Jeter, I have George Brett, I have Bonds, I have Mays, I have Ichiro. So I need a DH. I need a catcher. Ivan Rodriguez. I'm going to go defense at catcher. I'm going to go with Ivan Rodriguez.
I take Yogi.
Okay, you can have your Yankee there. I mean, I'll just take the.
I mean, Yogi was probably the greatest offensive catcher of all time. Who also could play left field. Won 10 world championships. I mean, 3
I mean, it's not a bad pick at all.
No, a lot of people could say bench, but bench had extremely low batting average a couple of times in his career.
Right. I don't give a rat's ass about what my catcher does offensively. If he wants to give me offense, which Pudge can do, certainly capable. That's gravy.
You don't want a catcher who can't play defense for your all-time team. I mean, that's why I would.
Pudge is phenomenal.
Oh, I agree. No, that's what I'm saying. That's why I wouldn't take Piazza, because Piazza was probably.
I agree with that.
The best offensive catcher ever. But I mean, Yogi was a really good defensive catcher in addition to being an outstanding hitter.
And then I need a DH. I guess that could be anybody.
Oh, there's plenty.
There's plenty of guys, but
you didn't say Griffey, and you didn't pick Griffey or Trout or any of those guys. I mean, you could always pick somebody like that.
I could. I mean, I'll just take Aaron.
Well, Aaron's not a bad pick.
Hammer and Hank, put him in the 4 hole.
Can't go wrong with him.
Bash everybody home as my DH. And then what about pitchers, Brad? I'm interested. I know you're going to go old time for pitchers, and I think I know.
Sandy Koufax, starting pitcher, reliever Mo.
I knew you were going to go Mo, but I mean, Mo's the obvious pick. I mean, he's the best closer ever. It can't be this. It's like Jerry Rice in terms of NFL wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, Mo.
He's the best. You can't argue that he's not the best. I don't care if you're from downtown Boston. Mariano Rivera is the best closer of all time.
Starting pitcher, I'd have to go Koufax. That 5-year period he had was he was so dominant, and I mean, it was ridiculous just how good he was.
I was torn between my reliever is going to be a little bit of a wild card, a little bit more of a recent guy. I'm going to go with John Smoltz as my reliever because
Smoltz was really good.
I mean, look, he closed, he started, he can do. He's like a Swiss.
He can do it.
And then for my starting pitcher, I was torn between Randy Johnson, who's just, the big, I don't have to tell you, big power lefty, sweeping slider, unbelievable player, and Bob Gibson.
Dominating player, dominating pitcher.
And Bob Gibson. So
best money pitcher in the game.
I'm going to go with Bob Gibson just because they changed the rules because of him.
Yes, they did.
They made the mound. Would they make the mound lower because of him?
Yeah, they made it lower because
they made it lower because he was throwing the ball. And also, Bob Gibson, he'd throw it in your ear. He didn't care at all.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't taking nothing from nobody.
No. That was the era that they did that. I don't think Sandy was much of a throw the ball in your ear guy. He was for 5 years. He was completely unhittable.
Bill Middlebrook, Ruth Mantle, Bonds, Carew, Trout, Rose, Piazza, Nolan Ryan, and Rivera would be his pitching staff.
Not bad.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can go. I mean, baseball, that's the most fun one of all the ones we're going to do right here to close out the show.
He agreed with me about Carew. Carew is one of those guys, if you grew up watching Carew.
Well, I mean, it's second base, too. I mean,
he was such an aggravating player to pitch to because no matter what the situation was, you couldn't get him out. And if you walked him, you were basically going to give up a triple because he was going to steal second and third. And if you weren't careful, he could steal home, too.
You have Carew, you have Hornsby, and then, who's third?
Oh, it's second base?
Yeah, Roberto Alomar?
Well, as a Yankee, in my opinion, their greatest second baseman ever was Joe Gordon, and he played in the 40s. He had exceptional statistics, but I'm thinking that there were better second basemen than him. What position did Napoleon Lajoie play? Second or short? I'm trying to remember. I can't remember now. Joe Morgan, you could put him in there.
That's interesting.
Joe Morgan was really good.
Craig Biggio had 3,000 hits.
Yeah, I'd still take Joe Morgan over Craig Biggio every day of the week, though. Joe Morgan, when he decided when he got to first base, if he decided he wanted to steal second, there was nothing you could do. I mean, he was the first guy I ever saw that actually would take a lead and have both. When they had the AstroTurf infields, he was the first guy I ever saw who would have both feet on the AstroTurf, like 2 or 3, and be 2 or 3 steps off the AstroTurf, taking a lead. That's how cocky a stolen base guy he was.
All right, so I think we got baseball covered. What about hockey, Brad? You're the big hockey guy, so build your line. Build your
Gretzky, Lemieux, and Howe. Bobby Orr.
Isn't that a lot of centermen there?
Lemieux could play right wing, and Howe could play left wing.
And you have Gretzky in the middle.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't matter because you could put whoever you want there. I mean, if you wanted to be technical with right wings and left wings, I mean, I suppose you could put Gretzky. You could put Gretzky in the middle, and then put Mario Lemieux at right wing, because Mario Lemieux could play right wing, and left wing. I'm trying to think of a guy who could skate with them. Probably Frank, maybe either Frank Mahovlich or Yvonne Cornway, one of those two guys. And then defense, probably Bob, without a doubt, Bobby Orr and Paul Coffey. I mean, easy.
Yeah, Bill. Neither of us had Pete Rose on our team. I mean,
no,
probably should be there.
You're wrong, but
would I have to put him at first base? I mean, whatever. I mean,
Yeah, but you can't put him at first base with Gehrig there.
And I picked Miggy just to have a current.
He was real good too.
I mean, Miggy won a triple crown in the worst hitters ballpark in
Yes, he did.
history.
Yes, he did.
I don't know about history, but you know what I mean.
Well, Gehrig had a triple crown in 1924. I'm just saying. I mean,
True. I mean, he's the Iron Horse, and he played every game until he got sick.
Right.
So my hockey line,
but I would go back to the original line, Rob. Gretzky, Lemieux, and Howe. I'd find a way to get them to mesh with Ward and Coffee.
Okay, so that's something I would have done. I tried to be position cognizant with my lineup. So I built from the back up. So
yeah, we'll get to goalie later.
Okay, so I'm gonna take Pronger and Lindstrom. I'm gonna take Ovechkin to have an active guy. I tried to put an active guy in each of my four little lineups here. NBA, I have 2 active guys, so get to that next probably. So I have Pronger and Lindstrom. I want Ovechkin. Brett Hall was a hell of a goal scorer.
So was his dad.
Yeah, I mean you have him, so I'm not.
Dad, no, I don't have Bobby Hull.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Brett Hall as a winger.
Yeah, Bobby was a left wing. Brett Hull was a right wing.
What was Yager? Left wing?
Yager was a right wing. He was a left-handed shot, but he played right wing.
What's Ovechkin?
Ovechkin actually is a left wing that is a left wing. If you go by.
So I have Ovechkin and Hall, and I need a centerman to kind of facilitate everything. Maybe you can help me out there.
Well, Gretzky, Lemieux.
Yeah, but you have those guys. I don't want to double dip.
Well, there's a zillion guys. What about Phil Esposito?
Yeah, I mean Gretzky's the obvious choice. Gretzky in his prime with Ovechkin and Brett Hall.
But Esposito was the one whose record was broken.
Right. I mean, I can't.
Esposito had 78 goals in 80 games.
Yeah, I mean he's a.
In his prime, it was impossible to stop him because all he did was stand in front of the net and knock home garbage, and he was the biggest, strongest player in the league, and nobody could move him.
Well, you can't really have. It's like we can't really.
Will Chamberlain of hockey. He was impossible to move because he was so big. He also had a wicked wrist shot. I mean, he had a good shot too. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, if he was standing in front of the net, if there's a rebound, he'd find it every time.
All right, who's your goalie? I know who you're.
I think you know who it's going to be. It's Ken Dryden.
Ken Dryden. All right, I went with Brodeur.
Yeah, you can also give Patrick Roy a honorable mention as well.
Almost went with him, but I went with Brodeur. I mean, Brodeur was
great. Also,
Brodeur was also like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're a bigger hockey guy than me. Brodeur was also like the heart and soul, the leader of those Devils teams.
Pat, I think Scott Stevens was more or less that, but he was pretty darn important to put it that way. He was the key for their they were a very good defensive team, but he was the key in that defensive team because he was so good defensively. He was such a good goalie, and also his stick handling and the fact that he was like the first goalie that really did the outlet pass to create offense the way he did. Hextall could do it, but Brodeur really.
Oh, that's another guy they changed the rules for. They got that stupid trapezoid, so the goalies don't.
Well, Brodeur was the reason.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And start the outlet rush. I mean, Hextall was real good with his stick. He could shoot the puck down the ice and everything like that. Also, honorable mentions would have to go to Tony Esposito, Billy Smith, and Bernie Perrant as well.
Um,
Can't forget them. And
Hasek.
sure.
Where do you think Hasek? Because Hasek was one of my favorites to watch.
Hasek was really
Neighbors.
the only thing with Hasek, he's such a strange goalie. His style was something that nobody would ever teach their kids how to play. Because
like Favre trying to teach someone how to play quarterback like Brett Favre.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. You could never teach anybody to play like Hasek. Hasek was just an athlete. He was an athlete that was a goalie.
And then, all right, let's go NBA. I think we're both going to have Michael Jordan on our team.
Yep. And LeBron. That's one of my. I want LeBron as my small forward, though. And I want Oscar as my number 2. And I want Jordan playing the point.
You're going to have Jordan at point guard. Okay. So I got Curry at point guard. I got Jordan at shooting guard. I got LeBron. And then I can't not have Wilt.
No, you can't. No, that would be impossible not to have him. And then you have to have a guy who could rebound.
Then I had Barkley written down, but I mean, I could go Karl Malone there. I need a garbage guy. You know what I'm saying? I need a guy who's going to rebound and get the ball to LeBron and MJ and Curry. Like Barkley came to mind. Karl Malone came to mind.
What about if you put like Parrish there? I know he was a center, but
yeah,
okay.
No, because I watched the Sixers try and play with 2 centers all goddamn year, and it makes me want to pull my hair out. So I'm gonna.
What about Jabbar?
I mean,
you couldn't really put Jabbar. But the thing is, you can't put Jabbar and Wilt on the same team.
That's what I'm saying. I gotta go Wilt. I mean, he has the only quintuple double in NBA history.
Yeah, well, Wilt was unbelievable. Now, you know who I would put? At power forward, even though it's unconventional, Julius Erving.
The doctor?
Mm-hmm. Because or Larry Bird, because they can both shoot from the outside and they can both rebound.
Bird's intriguing.
Erving could jump. He was a great leaper. That was something that he could do that was unbelievable. I mean, they used to make jokes that everybody said he couldn't touch the top of the backboard. And he said, put a $20 bill up there and you'll see if I can touch the top of the backboard.
Yeah, and he touched it.
Yeah, I would think he could. I mean, that guy was ridiculous.
All right.
I remember him jumping from the foul line and dunking the ball. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
All right, then football. I mean, football is kind of tougher just because I don't want to sit here and do all 22 positions.
Yeah, let's just do the your two best defensive players and the best quarterback, receivers, and running backs.
All right, quarterback. I'm going to catch flack for this one, but I'm not going Brady. I'm going to go Mahomes. I think when it's all said and done, Mahomes is going to be the best quarterback ever.
Well,
I really do. I think he's got Andy Reid as a great coach to mentor him, and he's got a rocket for an arm, and he can run. And he already has an MVP and a Super Bowl, and he's been starting for, 2 years? This is his second year start. About to be third year starting. First year starting, he won the MVP. Second year starting, he won the Super Bowl. So I think he's well on his way to being the best quarterback ever. And I don't think he has to get the 6 rings like Tom Brady to surpass Tom Brady as the best quarterback ever.
No, it's not necessarily when you start getting once you start getting more than one, then you're an all-time great anyway. So,
right,
it's 4 or 6 or 3 or
like Favre and Breeze. Favre and Breeze only have one. Both of them are top 10 quarterbacks of all time.
Yeah.
My opinion, at least. Who's your quarterback?
You're not going to like the quarterback who I think was the best I ever saw, because I don't like him either, but he used to just murder the Giants. And that's
who?
Roger Staubach.
Oh, Staubach. I mean, you can't really.
He was just
He was tremendous.
he was unbelievable.
He was tremendous.
I mean, he was so good. It was, and I hated him. I always, every time he ran, every time he put the ball down and start running, I'd be like, break his fucking leg, But
Yeah.
He'd run over guys. I mean, he was great. I love Montana too, but I mean, Roger Staubach was the best quarterback I've ever seen.
And I saw you got into it over a special someone over Joe Namath.
Well, somebody calling Joe Namath abysmal is just ignorant.
Yeah, it's just
it's clueless. It's a clueless, ignorant, stupid remark. And I'm not even going to mention his name because it
was Kyle Meager, Nitro Freak on YouTube, and I don't even know what the hell his Twitter name is.
Saying
moron, and I can't stand him.
Just
for him to just say that Joe Namath is abysmal is just
It's like, first of all, he threw for 27,000 yards. I got news for you.
27 yards. That's like throwing for 50,000 yards today.
Yeah, the game was different back then, and I gave him a game to watch just to show you how good Joe Namath was.
I saw it.
I sent him a picture of the. I sent him the highlights of the game in '72 against the Colts when he threw for 494 yards. And back then,
never happened back then. Never happened.
No, and if this was today, that would be like throwing for 700 yards today. That's how unusual that was. In any event,
all right. So what about running back?
Which running back would you put on the top right now?
There's a few, but
yeah, it's.
I'm gonna go with the best I watched play, and that was LaDainian Tomlinson. I mean,
he was great.
To not only do what he did from a rushing standpoint, but also have seasons where he would have 80, 90, 100 catches, and he would lead his team to 13-3 records and win MVPs from the running back positions. Not a lot of MVPs are running backs. I mean, it's a quarterback.
Well, now it's a
quarterback award.
Yeah, now it's a quarterback league. Back in the day, it was a running back league. Now,
so I went with LaDainian Tomlinson as my all-timer running back.
Yeah, mine would be Jim Brown. I mean, Jim Brown. I saw Jim.
I mean, that's fine because you want. It should probably be him if you're doing,
Well, what I would say is this: if you go onto YouTube and you take a look at his 50 best runs, and you see some of the stuff he did, he would. If it was you against him and you were trying to tackle him, if you went to try to tackle him conventionally, with the below the knees, he basically vaulted right over you. He was a sprinting champion. He was a vaulting champion. I mean, and he was a bruiser. He could run over. So he was almost impossible to tackle. You had to gang tackle him. And he did back in the day when guys weren't as powerful back then.
Yeah, Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith were my two that I was, they'd be close.
They were real good too. Don't forget Walter Payton.
Yeah, he's good too.
Yeah, he's an honorable mention.
All right, what about receiver? I mean, we're each going to have Jerry Rice, obviously, but who you put next to Rice? We'll pick two receivers.
Fred Biletnikoff.
Okay. I went Terrell Owens just because he's my favorite player. Played on one leg in the Super Bowl, and I almost won the damn thing for the Eagles while franchise quarterback Donovan McNabb was puking his guts out on the field. Bryce Brockwell says Barry all-time for me. I'm assuming he's talking about Barry Sanders for his all-time running back. That's an excellent choice, Bryce.
Absolutely.
It's tough to only pick one, but
yeah.
Terrell Owens will always have a special place in my heart. Shattered leg, almost won the MVP, almost led the Eagles to a Super Bowl. Then McNabb literally
he was great. And so was Randy Moss too. I mean, my thing with Biletnikoff was just that he never dropped any passes. He would always get open. He was a money receiver. If you're going to play with Jerry Rice, okay, and Jerry Rice is the deep threat, I want a guy who never drops the ball. And Fred Biletnikoff is the guy that never dropped the ball.
I mean, T.O. had his share of drops. He had some shaky hands at times. So
yeah, but he was also a dominant physical player. It's just receiver.
Yeah, but I got T.O. running my underneath stuff and being a bull, and then I have Rice running deep. If I have Rice and Moss, I got two.
Well, Moss is unstoppable as well.
Which isn't bad. But Moss went to Oakland and was just kind of a bum for like 2-3 years until he got thrown into the perfect situation in New England. And, that always his time in Oakland really kind of always rubbed me the wrong way.
It seemed like he just didn't seem like he wanted to be.
Yeah, it spoke to his professionalism or lack thereof. Whereas Terrell Owens, he was a total diva, but when Sunday at 1:00 hit, he was engaged for 4 hours the game was on.
You could put
much more consistently than Randy Moss.
There's some other
Terrell Owens the edge over Randy Moss.
Guys like Chris Carter, you could put him on
as a million receivers.
Let's
build a little bit of a defense.
Bob Hayes was another one. I don't know if
let's build a little bit of a defense here. I'll give you your boy Lawrence Taylor because I hate Lawrence Taylor.
And you can have Reggie.
And then I'll take Reggie, the Eagle. And then we'll kind of go from there. I want to build a second. The best defensive player secondary guy I've ever seen was Deion Sanders.
He was tremendous.
I don't know how you can pick make a lineup to save the world and not have Deion Sanders as your top corner.
Oh, for a cornerback. Okay.
For corner, yeah, and returner.
Boy, you know what? Corner is tough. He really was good. I mean, I have to go back into the 70s and go to the Raiders. Willie Brown, tremendous player, tremendous.
Well, those Raiders teams, they had some couple of safeties there that would just they would kill you.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Take guys like Tatum and guys like Tatum. Yeah.
Just dirty, ruthless players.
Yeah. Willie Brown was really good. Nobody ever threw it his side of the field when he was on. The guy on the Redskins,
Darryl Green. He would be my. He would be so fast. He was so fast, Brad.
Yeah. He was another one that was incredible. Those two were, in my opinion, probably the two best I've ever seen.
Safety wise, I got to go Ronnie Lott. All due respect to the Dawkinses, the Palomalus, and the Ed Reeds of the world.
Yeah, I would have to go with Ed Reed.
Ed Reed's good. I would probably have him second. I mean, Ronnie Lott cut off his fingers so he didn't have to miss a game.
All right. Ronnie Lott was insane. He was a great player.
I mean, that just takes the cake for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I'm more of an Ed Smith guy just because he had all those interceptions.
Bill Middlebrook, LT, Brown, White, Sanders, Willie Brown, Singletary. I don't know who the first Brown is.
Which Brown is he talking about?
I don't know.
Brown, or is he talking about Willie Brown?
And Sanders, I guess he's going with Prime. Maybe these are all defensive guys.
I'm not sure.
Not sure. Give me a first name, Middlebrook. Who's your
Willie Brown? I think Willie Brown.
Reggie White.
He's
it's Deion Sanders. It's Willie Brown. It's Mike Singletary. I don't know who Brown is. Jerome Brown, maybe?
No, it's Willie Brown. He has W. Brown.
Yeah, who's the first Brown?
Oh, the first one. I'm thinking it's probably Jerome Brown.
I mean, it's a shame he cut his life short like he did, being an idiot driving his car too fast.
Yeah, it was.
Knows where he would have ranked. He's like,
tell you, one of my favorite defensive linemen was Deacon Jones.
Oh, that's a good one.
He was a real good one. Him, Merlin.
He would do that head slap.
Yeah. He was nobody wanted.
He would give the guy a CTE before he even knew what hit him, and then he'd be sacking the quarterback. That's a great.
Yeah, and Dick Butkus, we don't forget him. Dick Butkus, you have to have him on. You have to have him on your team.
Yeah, middle linebacker. I wrote down Ray Lewis.
Yeah, because LT was
Ray Lewis won the MVP of the NFL as a middle linebacker in the year 2000.
Yeah, LT was an outside linebacker.
Yeah, but he's on your team.
Okay.
You'd take that crumb.
Dick Butkus would have been one of.
Let me put it to you this way, Brad. O.J. Simpson chopped his wife's head off, and he's still a better person than Lawrence Taylor. Total crumb.
I've met Taylor. You know what? He's not a bad.
Yeah.
He's
was his brain melted from all the fucking cocaine he did before every game? Who the fuck can't play good in the NFL? Buzzed out on cocaine.
Just think how good he would have played if he didn't do that.
What's that?
Just think how good he would have played if he didn't do that and he could focus on playing.
I think that contributed. I think him being a rabid dog high on cocaine contributed him to being an all-time great. A great deal.
He also could run faster than any linebacker ever to play the game when he first came into the league.
I mean, on coke or off coke?
That I don't know. I didn't have a little.
You're getting nowhere. You're getting nowhere throwing out a bunch of stats, figures, and statistics when it comes to Lawrence Taylor. I can't stand the guy. I'll give Emmitt Smith his due. I'll give Aikman his due. I'll give Michael Irving his due. I'll give, any other giant great you want to throw out there. I'll give them their due if I think they were a good player.
Strahan.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
He was.
In his prime, it seemed like the only one that could even consider blocking him one-on-one was our guy in Philadelphia, John Runyon, and he abused the shit out of John Runyon most of the time too. So Michael Strahan, I have no problem giving Michael Strahan his due. I will never give Lawrence Taylor an ounce of respect.
Lawrence Taylor was a great
when it comes to the pantheon of NFL greats.
Well, he was a great player. So I mean, you can like him or not like him. You feel about him the way I feel about Dawkins, which is the dirtiest player to ever play the game. But that's your opinion, and that's my opinion. So, again, you can look at that any way you want.
Finish up.
You're gonna put a guy from the vaunted Steel Curtain on that defense.
Yeah, so, I guess me and Joe Green would be.
Yeah, one of those guys has to be there.
Lambert at middle linebacker. That's kind of an oversight on my part. I'd still go Lewis though. Just you win the MVP as a middle linebacker of the whole league.
Oh yeah, no. Lewis was a great player, and he won 2 Super Bowls.
I think that holds a lot of water. 3 comments before we get out of here. Lott was a winner. Yeah, I mean he was on a lot of good Niners teams in the '80s. Butkus has an award named after him, the Butkus Award, the best linebacker in college. That's named after Dick Butkus. You know where Dick Butkus played his college ball, Brad?
Don't recall, no.
Illinois.
Illinois, really? Okay. So he stayed there the whole time. So he went to Illinois and then he went to the Bears.
Yeah.
Played his whole career with the Bears.
And then LT was drug enhanced every game.
I don't think he was drug enhanced every game.
Most of the time, I think he was.
I don't know about every game.
Brad, you got any classic games dialed up? YouTube, otherwise?
Yeah, the best
can the people watch
football game I ever saw would have been the Super Bowl with the Giants and Bills in it. Because that game
Norwood missed.
Yes, when Norwood missed. That was my favorite one.
Because the Giants weren't favored at all in that game, were they?
No, they were like 12-point underdogs.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the Bills. That was
the only Super Bowl they were favored in was the first one that they won in '86. They were favored in that game.
Right, but I mean, what was it? What year was it? 93?
90. The year they won? Which one? 86 and 90.
Norwood.
Norwood was 90.
Norwood missed. 90, but I'm just saying, that was supposed to be the Bills.
That was supposed to be the Bills' year, yeah.
Yeah, and then Giants came in and took it away.
They played smash mouth football and ran the ball in their throats.
I watched the entire one. I'm in a baseball state of mind. Like I really am.
Greatest baseball game I ever saw was the World Series game with the Yankees and Diamondbacks.
Yeah, Game 4, the one you were at.
Yeah, that was. I mean, for them to be down 3-1 in the ninth inning and Tino Martinez to tie it with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth, and then Jeter wins it in the 10th. That was an unbelievable game.
Oh, you know what I got to check out? Because I watched Yankees Red Sox in 2003. I got to go back. I got to watch the 2002 series between the Angels and the Giants.
Oh, Game 7. No, it was Game 6 that
I think it was Game 6.
It was Game 6. The Giants were ahead 5-0, and they
lost.
Mm-hmm. And then the Angels beat them in Game 7.
And Bonds never got his ring.
Nope. It's kind of that series was very similar to the Mets Red Sox series in 1986 when the Red Sox had that lead on the Mets in the ninth inning, and I think Stanley came in and Sherald and blew the game.
Once the ball went through Buckner's legs, they weren't winning. They weren't winning Game 7 in '86. There was no shot. I would have bet the house on the Mets.
Yeah, well, the next game it was Clemens against Ron Darling, and actually the Red Sox were ahead 3-0 going into the 5th inning.
They blew that game too.
Yeah, I remember that game, and I was just thinking the whole time, I was like, Mets are going to win this game. And I actually, believe it or not, I was actually rooting for the Red Sox. That just goes to show how much I can't stand the Mets. But I wanted the Red Sox to win that series because all my friends were Met fans, and I just couldn't take it.
So yeah, I'm gonna be checking out that 2002 World Series between the Giants and the Angels.
That was a hell of a World Series.
I mean, we talked about it. That like 2000 to 2005 like stretch of postseason baseball was really good.
Oh yeah, no, they were all real, battles.
01, 02, 03.
You know, it was a good World Series, the '85 World Series between the Royals and the Cardinals.
Yeah, Don Denkinger blew it.
Yeah, yep, with the Buddy Biancalala or something like that. Biancalala, was that his name?
I don't know. Yeah. I have to look up the box score.
Yeah. That was a good
anyway. Thanks for checking in, everybody. Sports Hounds will be back next Monday, 7:30 to 9:30 on A2D Radio, A2D Live, Facebook, Periscope, Instagram. Stream us, Google Play, Spotify, iTunes. The takeover is real. Join the debate. We're the best in the biz. Hashtag it. No notes. Have a good night, everybody.
See you guys.